Hello dear colleagues, my name is Olesya Vodopianova. I am a teacher of English in an IA school in Petropavlovsk. I am sure that all of you are in constant search of the most effective and interesting approaches that encourage students not only to activate their knowledge, but also develop critical thinking as well. Today, I would like to introduce you one of the approaches that help you improve students' reading and analytical skills. The theme of our webinar is implementing a guided reading approach for improving reading literacy. The aims of our presentation are the following. Present a guided reading approach for improving reading literacy. Introduce the key elements of the guided reading approach. Show the steps and strategies of scaffolding, and share the experience of implementing a guided reading approach. Let's start our webinar with a funny activity. Try to read the text on the screen. I am sure it will be easy for you. Is only speed important while reading? Did you understand the text? Answer the given questions and find out how you are good at text comprehension. Now check your answers, please. Before we start studying the features of guided reading, share your opinion about reading literacy. How do you think what reading literacy is? You can type your ideas in the chat. Speaking about literacy in common, we can say that it is the ability, confidence, and willingness to engage with language, to inquire, construct, and communicate meaning in all aspects of daily living. Language is explained as a social and cultural constructed system of communication. As for reading literacy, it is defined in PISA as the ability to understand, use, and reflect on written text in order to achieve one's goals, to develop one's knowledge and potential, and to participate effectively in society. What is guided reading? Guided reading is an instructional practice or approach where teachers support a small group of students to read a text independently. Why is guided reading? The practice of guided reading is based on the belief that the optimal learning for a reader occurs when they are assisted by an educator or expert author to read and understand a text with a clear but limited guidance. Guided reading allows students to practice and consolidate effective reading strategies. So, let's watch a short video about advantages of guided reading.
A reading program, and part of that is guided reading, is very important for learners to develop these skills to read independently.
It creates wonderful opportunities for teachers and children to enjoy books and share wonderful texts, but it also allows and gives the opportunity for children to broaden their vocabulary.
So when you look at the balanced literacy program, in which guided reading fits, you're really trying to develop, first of all, that love for reading. Reading is not an easy skill to develop, and your brain inherently is quite lazy. So you need to sort of make that reading something learners want to do, to motivate them, to instill a love for reading at a very young age. So that would be your first stage, like a reading to stage in the classroom and at home, hopefully as well. Then we move on to that shared reading, where students starting to read more with the teacher. You're interacting with the text through questions. We're modeling effective reading, the skills, the strategies, but also the expression you use when you read aloud. So here, students are really involved in this reading process, and hopefully we keep maintaining that positive attitude towards reading. Then we move on to guided reading. In a nutshell, guided reading is actually there to bridge the gap between that reading that the teacher is doing towards becoming independent readers, where students can really apply the reading strategies and skills independently on any resource that they read.
Guided reading offers an opportunity for those children to explore language and use language, particularly our second language learners. And this teaching of vocabulary in a familiar context has broken down so many barriers for this group of children. So they are now able to access text at their level at a more deeper and in a more meaningful way.
So guided reading is a very important bridge to help them become independent, effective readers.
The key elements of guided reading include: before reading discussion, this is when the teacher introduces the text and takes the opportunity to teach students before the reading begins. The activity you can try is word search. Choose a few words from the text that may be difficult for students, or words that tell what the story is about. Then have students sort the words into categories. Independent reading. During this time when students are reading, the teacher provides any assistance that is needed, as well as records any observations. One of the activity is sticky notes. During reading, students write down anything that they want on the sticky notes. It can be something that interests them, a word that confuses them, or a question or command they may have, anything at all. Then share them as a group after reading the story. And after reading discussion. After reading, the teacher talks with students about what they have just read and the strategies that they used, and lead students through a discussion about the book. Activity to try is draw a story map. After reading, have students draw a story map of what the story was about. A great source of materials for pre-reading and comprehension activities is the online Media platform. Comprehension should be a quick check for understanding of what they have currently read. Here you can find lessons for different grades. Choose a grade, a term, and a lesson, and you are ready to teach your students. First, they can study the vocabulary, they are given definitions, and they can see how to use these words in the context. Here you can find different tasks of different levels. In this example, students work with the new vocabulary and check the text comprehension. Here you can start doing the task and see your mistakes, or check individually or in group. If you have any mistakes, you can see what are they. Here you have the task with the task comprehension of the text. Here you are given the text about Oscar Wilde. You can read and then choose the correct option. The task of different level, so the students can start with the easy task and finish with the most difficult one. They are various, so students won't be bored with doing such tasks. After finishing all the tasks, you and your students can check the results and discuss them. Here you can see your results. Then you can organize after reading discussion with your students. Materials on the platform can be used for work in the classroom or at home. Guided reading helps students develop greater control over the reading process through the development of reading strategies which assist decoding and construct meaning. The teacher guides or scaffolds their students as they read, talk and think their way through a text. That's why scaffolding should be included in guided reading. It's a method which involves breaking learning into chunks to make the materials or skills easier for students to master. Scaffolding consists of front-loading new or technical vocabulary, highlighting the language structures or feature of a text, focusing on a decoding strategy that will be useful when reading, teaching fluency and or promoting the different level of comprehension, literal, inferential or evaluative. Guided reading strategies are prediction, clarification and questioning, and summarizing. Prediction encourages students to draw on their own prior learning and experiences to allow them to make educated guesses on what may follow in the story. Prediction activities are great activities to hone your students' predictive abilities and comprehension skills, and then can be repeated often. They also have the added advantage of requiring very little preparation for the teacher. Prior to begin to read the chosen book, some pre-reading work is necessary to focus the students' minds on the task at hand. Here is an example of how to organize before reading discussion.
So we're learning to understand how authors use point of view to reveal what the characters think, see, feel, say, and do. What is point of view? We've been talking a lot about that.
We understand like what the character's thinking, because if they didn't include that, they may be thinking the character's happy when it's actually sad.
Yeah, and it helps us understand an event better. So we're going to look at a little chart that we've made based on what the girl with the magic finger felt, her point of view in regards to the Gregs going hunting. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. Now let's have a look. What did she see?
She saw the Gregs shooting animals.
Yep, she saw the Gregs shooting animals. And how did she feel about that?
I got a little angry because why would the boy be killing animals for no point?
What did she do?
She put the magic finger on them.
Why did she put the magic finger on them, you think?
Because she thought they need to learn a lesson how animals feel.
Yeah. What was she thinking, Nevaeh?
She was thinking that she needs to stop them.
And what did she tell them to do?
She told them to stop, but Mr. Greg said, mind your own P's and Q's.
And that got her really upset, and that's why. What did she do in the end?
She put the magic finger on them.
That's
on
right.
the whole Greg family.
Yeah, she put the magic finger on the whole Great family.
For months I've been telling myself that I would never put the magic finger upon anyone again. Not after what happened to my teacher, old Mrs. Winter. Poor old Mrs. Winter. One day we were in class and she was teaching us spelling. Stand up, she said to me, and spell cat.
Do you know what I really like that you've done? Remember how you kind of stumbled on the words? I liked how you went back, you backed up and you reread the text again. That's really good. Let's keep going.
That's an easy one, I said. K-A-T. You are a stupid little girl, Miss Winter said.
Now what's that one?
Mrs. Winter said.
Yeah.
I am not a stupid little girl, I cried. I'm a very nice little girl. So, go and stand in the corner, Miss Winter said. Then I got cross and I saw red. and I put the magic finger on Mrs. Winter, good and strong, and almost at once, guess what?
Okay. What do you think that means? Then I got cross and I saw red. What does that mean?
That means she got cross and then like her cheeks went red.
Yeah, but what does cross mean? How do you think she's
She got
feeling?
angry.
How do you know she's got angry? How do you know
Because
she
it
got
says
angry?
cross, and cross normally means angry or upset.
What to where? We might start from here. Then I got cross.
Then I got cross and I saw red, and I put the magic finger on Mrs. Winter, good and strong, and almost at once, guess what? Whiskers began growing out of her face.
Alright, now why do you think this word is in italics?
What is that?
Italics is when, you know, the words are a little slanted. Why do you think this word is in italics?
Maybe because the whiskers are thin, and maybe they've done a thin too, or maybe like when you write some words, you write it wobbly and stuff like.
Why do we do that? Why does the author do that, you think?
So the book can be more entertaining.
Do you think the author wants the reader to shock the reader, or to focus on that particular word? I mean, guess what? Whiskers began growing out of her face, and because it's in italics, we have to sort of focus on that word and read it a bit differently. Because we're shocked. Whiskers began growing out of her face. Do we want to try that again?
Okay.
Yeah.
Whiskers began growing out her face. They were long black whiskers, just like one you see on a
We have to go back and reread, all right? So in today's guided reading session, the focus for that group was looking at point of view.
Clarification and questioning. In terms of guided reading, clarification refers to first identifying the difficult parts of the text before making sense of them through a variety of clarification techniques. These techniques can be as simple as looking up a word in a dictionary. There are other tools available to students, however. Often when students look up the meaning of a word in a dictionary, it helps clarify the meaning of the part of the text in the short term. But sometimes word's definition is not retained for the next time the students comes across it. Sometimes it's better for the students to use other techniques to work out the meaning, such as employing contextual clues. To support students while discussion, some clarification and question prompts can be used as scaffolding to help students to identify the areas of the text they are unsure of before moving to the question prompts to help them begin to work out the meaning and significance with the text. When the students have identified the vocabulary, phrases, sentences, paragraphs, and sections they are giving them trouble, they can then move on to the forming question using the following question prompts. Summarizing reading. Summarizing is an important skill for students to develop. It helps students to identify the most important part of a text or story and to learn to ignore irrelevant details and information too. Students who practice summarizing learn to integrate the details and the main ideas of a text in a meaningful way. A simple way to encourage students to summarize a story is to ask them to paraphrase it in their own words. As it will be highly unlikely they will have memorized the entire story word for word, paraphrasing the story will allow you to assess their overall understanding of what they have read. To encourage your students to summarize a text, ask them to answer the following 4 things. What are the main ideas in the piece? What are the most important details or points made? What details or information is irrelevant or unnecessary? What are the keywords and phrases in the text? If they have photocopies of the story, you may wish to have them underline or highlight the information related to the above questions in different colors and then ask them to retell the story in their own words after they have done this. Encourage them to use the keywords and phrases used in the text in their retelling too. Here is an example of the lesson from the international context of how a teacher summarizes a story.
today we're going to read a story, a special type of story that's called a fable. And a fable has a special message at the end. Okay, but today we're going to focus more on the character feelings like we did with our whole class focus. All right, we're going to be looking at the two characters in the story, the lion and the mouse, and how they might be feeling throughout the story. Because I think their feelings change a little bit. Rizma, what can you tell from the front of how they're looking at the moment? What do you think? What can you tell me?
Happy.
Okay, who looks like they're happy?
The lion.
Okay, what makes you think he's happy?
Of the snow.
He's got a bit of a smiley face. What about the mouse, Nora? How do you think the mouse might be feeling?
Worried.
Ah, he might be worried. What's giving you a clue that he might be worried?
But at the end of the story, maybe the lion will eat the mouse.
All right, we're going to have a couple of words in our story that we might have to have a look at. Okay, does anyone know what these ones are? They're verbs.
Laughed. This one is laughed.
How did you know that word was laughed?
Because I have that in my home reader. That's one of my words in my home reader.
Good job. So you've already seen this word in lots of other books. Okay, good. So I wonder who's laughing in this book. I wonder if the mouse is going to laugh or the lion is going to laugh. Let's have a see. This is another verb. It's a sound that the lion makes. What is it, Nora? Roared. And we've got our ending here, a little bit like laughed, because it's already happened. This story is in like the past tense. Okay, the story's already happened, so we've got some past tense verbs there. Let's say them together. Roared, laughed. Okay, you're going to see those words today in our story. Now, as you're reading, I want you to think of two things. The first thing is, how is the character feeling throughout the story? The lion and the mouse. And then another thing is, what message might this story be telling us? Because it's a fable, it's going to give us a little message as well. Good girl.
The lion woke up. The lion woke up. Got you, he said. Said the mouse. Please let me go. Please let me go. One day I may help you.
Let's look at this picture here. How do you think the mouse is feeling here? How do you think he might be feeling?
Worried.
Is there any clues that you can see that might help you think that he's worried? Maybe something that he's saying or something that he's doing? What makes you think that he's worried?
Because he does the E sound.
Yeah. Okay, let's say this together because there's an exclamation mark. E, said the mouse. Is there anything else that he says to let us know that he's worried? What else does he say?
Please let me go.
What's this at the end?
Exclamation.
Okay, so how's he going to say that? If he's worried, how might he say that?
Please let me go.
Keep going.
Please let me go. One day I may help you.
Does that sound better? Yeah. How else might he be feeling? He might be feeling worried. He might be feeling... What else might he be feeling by saying, please let me go? How else might he be feeling? How would you feel if you were the mouse and you've got a lion about to grab you?
Upset.
You feel upset as well. Good. Keep going, Nora.
Yes, a mouse can help a lion. Thank you, little mouse.
Let's look at this page, Rizwan, because there's some little marks on that page that will help you read a little bit fluently with expression. What marks might help you?
Exclamation marks and talking marks.
And is there something else on the page that might help you? Something that's a little bit... Look at these ones, dark.
Oh, dark red.
All right. Because when you were reading, I noticed you read all the same. Because when we see the talking marks and the bold words, what do we need to do?
I'm making it a little bit louder.
So let's read this together. You're going to help me. We're going to do it together. When we get to the talking marks, I want you to change your voice. Because who's talking on this page?
The lion.
And also?
The mouse.
Right. Okay, so it's talking, so we have to make sure we change our voice. Off we go. And she did. You can get out now, said the mouse. Can you read that again for me like that?
You can get out now, said the mouse.
That sounds better, doesn't it? What about here?
See, a little mouse likes me. Did help a...
To get guided reading started in the classroom requires lots of planning and organization. At the beginning of the year, But this initial investment of time and effort reaps richer words for students that is reflected in their rapid progress. Reading is important because it develops the mind. The mind is a muscle. It needs exercise. Understanding the written word is one way the mind grows in its ability. Teaching young children to read helps them develop their language skills. It also helps them learn to listen. Non-readers or poor readers often have low opinion of themselves and their abilities. Reading is important because words spoken and written are the building blocks of life. Here are the resources that were used in the presentation. You can use them to find more information about the guided reading approach. Thank you for your attention.